She looks like a man, she's beat up men, and now she wants to wrestle men, guys. Welcome back to Fog Wrestling. And Rhea Ripley has commented on a potential intergender match against WWE Intercontinental Champion Gunther. This is what Rhea Ripley had to say, and I quote, "I would love to face Gunther. I would absolutely be down for that. I would love to try and go for the Intercontinental Championship. It would be another history-making event, which is all I want to do. I want to be remembered for breaking the stereotype for women at the same time." End of quote. Honestly, we've seen Rhea Ripley once before this year in an intergender match with Tosawa. It wasn't groundbreaking. It didn't break down stereotypes. The match was a complete joke. Tosawa wasn't allowed to hit any offense. He wasn't allowed to do anything physical. The only thing Tosawa could do was basically a fade and counter Rhea Ripley's attacks. He didn't perform any moves of his own. He didn't hit any strikes. He didn't do nothing. He was basically just thrown in there to get beat up so people could get off to a big, muscular, butch, man-looking chick defeating a little guy. And I think that's probably, that's probably their fantasy. And then they like to see Rhea Ripley doing that. So these intergender matches, they're not breaking anything. The only thing they're breaking is people's resilience to keep watching this shit, because nobody wants to see Gunther versus Rhea Ripley. Gunther's been on an absolute amazing run here as the champion. He's been destroying everybody, and it just doesn't make any sense. How could he go from beating Drew? How could he go from beating Sheamus? How could he go from beating Strowman and all these people, and then possibly, have a match with Rhea Ripley and actually look like 50-50 and look as if she is a credible counterpart for him in a match? That would be absolutely dumb. And it wouldn't even happen. Let's say Gunther did have a match with Rhea Ripley. He wouldn't be allowed to do anything. He wouldn't be allowed to do his offense. He wouldn't be allowed to do his big power bombs. He wouldn't be allowed to do his chops. He wouldn't be able to do anything. How could he show the same type of aggressive offense that he uses in his matches? How could he do that on Rhea Ripley without the WWE having an absolute meltdown, without people watching having an absolute meltdown? There would be all sorts of complaints, or you're promoting you're promoting violence against women and all this shit. People would be losing their shit. But when women beat up men, it's progressive and it's breaking stereotypes. But you can guarantee if it was the other way about, then people wouldn't be happy, and WWE would come under fire, and Gunther would be made out to be a bad guy. There's just no way this match can happen. And if they had the match the same way they did the Tosawa match, then Gunther would look like an absolute buffoon. Now, it's different Tosawa looking like an idiot, because that's kind of the position he's in. He's in the 24/7 title position. He's in the lower mid-card position. Tosawa can kind of get away with doing that match, and he doesn't lose any credibility because he doesn't really have any. But as soon as you take someone like Gunther, someone that's been booked, someone that's been pushed in the company, he can't face Rhea Ripley. It's a no-win situation for Gunther if he faces Rhea Ripley. If he beats her, he loses. And if he loses, then he may as well just kill himself, because his career's dead. His career is finished. So this is a load of trash. And Rhea Ripley also went on to talk about Beth Phoenix. She said, quote, "She's one of the main women that I idolised growing up in WWE just because she looked different. She had muscle. She stood out as a really, really strong force. I remember seeing her get the crap for the way she looked, and I hated that, and it reminded me of people picking on me for the way I looked. But seeing her go out there and not care about anything and just be herself, I idolised that. So be able to step into the ring with her and even just go face to face and just have these two beefy looking girls looking at each other ready to kill. I live for moments right there." End of quote. That's okay, Rhea Ripley saying she lives for moments, but let's be honest, most the viewers watching wrestling are men, and most men don't want to see two beefy looking girls. They don't want that. They don't want two beefy looking chicks ready to kill each other. They want feminine looking women that are going to have fucking cat fights and bra and panties matches. So again, it doesn't matter what Rhea Ripley wants. The fact is, the main majority of people watching the show do not want that. We don't want beefy looking chicks. We don't want fat people like Doudrop. We don't want that. We don't want these masculine looking women. If we want masculine looking wrestlers, then we're going to look to the men. You know, we're going to look to guys like, let's say, a Gunther, guys like, trying to think of some, Roman Reigns, or, you know, a Cena. We're going to look for masculine people like that. When we want the feminine people, we don't want to watch feminine men wrestle. We want to watch feminine women wrestle. So again, why would we care about beefy girls or masculine, you know, looking women when we can get that in the men, and the men do it better, the men have a better standard? Again, these women are going to try and wrestle. Oh, we're two big physical chicks and we're going to go out there and kill each other. But no, you don't do it as good as the men. Why do we care about muscles on women when we've got fucking bigger and larger and better muscles on men? We don't. We do not. So Rhea Ripley here can talk about Beth Phoenix. She can talk about Gunther. She can talk about her being Intercontinental Champion. First of all, nobody wants to see her be Intercontinental Champion. Nobody wants to see her face Gunther, apart from a few freaks. And nobody really cares about Beth Phoenix. Let's be honest. Beth Phoenix came in and she was not popular. I would argue she was the least popular women's champion in that era. And let's be honest, Candice Michelle was way more popular than Beth Phoenix, and that is who Beth Phoenix beat to win the women's championship. Before that, Mickie James was more popular. Before that, Trish and Lita were more popular. No one preferred fucking Beth Phoenix, this big, you know, muscle chick over the feminine chicks who had, you know, more petite, feminine, slim, hot bodies. Because that's what the men want to see, that in the women. They don't want to see all these muscles. That puts people off. I want to see, like, when you see muscles, when I see big muscles, jacked up wrestlers, you're going to think of Kane. You're thinking of like 2001 Kane. I don't want to think of the women on the roster jacked up. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Rhea Ripley wants to have an Intercontinental title match with Gunther. It'll never happen. I'm confident it'll never happen. I mean, they might do another intergender match, but if they do it again, it's going to be someone like Rhea Ripley on the women's side versus someone like a Tosawa on the men's side. You're not going to get an actual match with a big guy going 50-50 with a big woman, because they just would not show that kind of offense. It wouldn't happen. So yeah, Rhea Ripley, she can want all she wants, but she ain't going to get it, and thank God for that, because, you know, I'm sick of the women. They get pushed too much. They're in too many matches, and the last thing we need to see is them winning main titles or male titles. And you could say, well, the Intercontinental title isn't a male-specific title. China won it. Yeah, well, you know what? China was the ninth wonder of the world. China was a one-off. You can almost like look past that. And even then, you know, I think China's kind of a mistake. I think a lot of wrestlers didn't like working with China. I don't know if they would put the belt back on her. I think it did devalue the Intercontinental Championship, to be honest. And I think the only reason she won it was because they wanted to embarrass Jeff Jarrett. So again, without those factors, would China even have become the Intercontinental Champion? In my opinion, no. There's just no value in men wrestling women. The only way a man can wrestle a woman and not like lose credibility would be if he wins in 10 seconds. But even the fact that he would face a woman and beat her, you know, he loses credibility anyway. So like I said, guys, it is a loss situation. You cannot win, and that is why it won't happen. Let us know your thoughts down below. I'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully, Rhea Ripley stays away from the men, although she has to wrestle Charlotte at WrestleMania, and she also looks like a man, so who knows? It's a big man fest here in WWE. But that's it, guys. Catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.